Is there a way to combine procedural shading with UV textures? The answer is yes, and I'm going to show you how. Hi creators, welcome or welcome back to Academic Phoenix Plus. My name is Monica and I am your guide through texturing. In this video tutorial, we're going to go over how to create procedural shading and labels for the skincare product design. If you're new to this channel, I post tutorials on a weekly basis. Software includes Maya, ZBrush, Substance Painter, and in this tutorial, Photoshop. If that is your sort of thing, please consider subscribing. So bring out that creativity, open up that software, and let's go ahead and get started in creating textures for the skincare products and get it ready for lighting and rendering. And don't forget, if you want to follow along, you can download these products at academicphoenixplus.com. All right, here is our models, and they are already UV mapped, which is awesome. If we take a look at a render, you can see that the products are ready to go. And I'm going to go ahead and take a snapshot so we can compare it. And hopefully Maya doesn't crash and then I lose all that. All right, now that we have everything, let's go to the perspective view and we are going to remove the reference for our background objects, such as the floor, and let's assign a new material, new material. So right click, new material, new material. And we're going to go to Arnold and choose the AI standard surface shader. I like to label everything. So floor shader, let's go to color, go to file, go to folder, and we're going to go to the asphalt and grab the texture. Press the number 6 on your keyboard and you can see we already have it. Now there are other maps. So let's go to roughness, click on the little checker, go to file, go to folder, and we're going to manually put in our textures. There's the roughness map. Now it's really important to make sure that your color space is in raw and to turn on alpha is luminance. Arnold needs that to make sure it renders properly. We are also going to go down to Geometry tab into the bump mapping and click on that little checker. Just like always, click on File, but make sure you use that pull down menu and choose Tangent Space Normals and click on the little button. Next, let's go ahead and grab that normal map. It should look like a crazy rainbow. And then again, don't forget the color space to raw. And then render. You can see that we have it here, and let's choose render camera in the pull down menu and we can see what it looks like. However, the quality of the texture is not very high. It's actually pretty pixelated. Now I picked a repeating texture, so I'll be able to make some changes. So let's go to the hypershade, and this is one of my favorite things to do. Let's right click on the floor shader, right click on it and graph the network. You can see that there's a placement node that I selected and I'm going to increase it by 5 to 5. Now it's important that you go to every single node and change the repeat UV to 5 to 5. Now if this is a repeating texture, it should work flawlessly. You shouldn't see any weird things. And now you can see the quality of the object or the texture is significantly higher, and that's exactly what I want. I'm going to do the same thing to the wall. I'm going to right click, assign a new material, going to go to Arnold, and of course use the AI standard surface shader. And don't forget to label. We're going to get a bunch of these, so make sure that you label so it's easy to find. So I'm going to call this my quartz shader. Let's go to color, click on the little checker, go to file, go to folder, and this time we're going to go to not the asphalt, we're going to go back up and go to the quartz. There's the beautiful base and it looks really nice. We're going to do the same thing like what we did before. We're going to go to roughness. We're going to click on that checker, go to the folder. Let's grab the roughness map. There it is. Click on open. And again, don't forget to change the color space to raw. Alpha is luminance. Otherwise, it's not going to look correct. Let's go ahead and scroll down again to bump mapping. We're going to click on that checker. We're going to choose on file. Don't forget to change it to tangent space normal. Very important. Click on that connection and go to the folder. We're going to go ahead and look for that normal map. There it is. You can see how weird it looks, but once you change it to raw, it renders properly. Now again, the pixelation is pretty strong there, so we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go up to the hypershade. We're going to graph our network. As you can see that there's the quartz, graph the network, select the placement node, and same story, repeat UVs. This time I'm going to choose 3 by 3. And it's great. As long as it's a repeating texture, you can use this trick to create some really nice texture. There it is. The quality is way better than what it was before. Let's take a snapshot of that. And we're basically done with the floor. Now you can see that there are some repeating textures with the vein of the object, but we're going to be okay because the actual render itself doesn't show that. All right, next, we're going to grab the bases. Let's go ahead and assign the same shader the quartz shader to the bases, and you can see right away that it's really easy and it gives it a nice look to the whole thing. So there we go. Easy peasy. All right, now we're going to focus on this one. We're going to assign a new shader. Go to Arnold AI Standard Surface Shader, and this one is going to be a black plastic, and this is going to be my procedural shader. So I'm going to choose like a dark gray with a little, just a tiny little bit of color. It's always a good idea to put a little bit of color on your shaders, and you can see that's looking just like that. Now the roughness is the parts that it's going to make it look shiny or not shiny. So I'm going to hit that play button on the render window, and I'm going to go ahead and start playing around. Now you really can't see the highlight changing because of the angle and the way the light is placed. So that's something to consider when we're working on this. Now I feel like it's a little too warm, so I'm going to go ahead and make it a little darker. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to assign the black material to this one, the black plastic material. And we can render, and now you can see how glossy it is in comparison. So again, you can see the reflections, you can see the highlight, and it all depends how shiny you want these objects to look like. Now, I wanted to go ahead and increase the roughness just a little bit, and we are going to be rendering a lot just to see what it looks like because, well, that's the whole point, right? All right, so I do want these top pieces to have the same plastic material, so I want to go ahead and place it in there. And for this one, I want to create a new material because this is supposed to be a bottle. So let's go to AI Standard Surface Shader. And this is going to be my bottle plastic. And I want to pick a similar color. But the difference though is that I'm going to be using transmission because this is supposed to be a transparent bottle that I'll be able to look through and see the liquid inside. Right, so to do that is through transmission. We're going to go ahead and crank up transmission, and you're going to see that that's how you can create really quickly a plastic bottle. So again, make sure you're in the render camera perspective and you can see the look. Now, transmission is based on color and how bright and dark your colors are. So you can see right away that I can get this really nice bottle. However, we need a liquid, and I don't have one. So I'm going to duplicate this object, Control D, scale it just a little bit, and I'm going to call this my bottle liquid, just to be clear. Next, I'm going to isolate select this because I want it to be a little bit slightly smaller than the actual bottle itself. So I'm going to go ahead and add an edge. Let's go ahead and grab some faces, delete it. And then I'm going to grab those edges and I'm going to go to mesh fill hole. I do have an end on. I'm not too worried about it because it's inside the bottle, but the point is that now I have a physical object in there. Now you still can't see it because they're sharing the same shader. So for this one, I'm going to go ahead and go to geometry and click on thin wall because it is a thin wall. And then there you go, you can see through it. So it's not like it's solid, so it acts a little bit different. Make sure you freeze the transformations, delete the history and everything. And then I'm going to assign a new material. It's going to be another Arnold AI Standard Surface, my favorite. It's so nice. It's a PBR. And for this one, I also want to make sure it is dark. And it will also have a little bit of transmission. So go ahead and crank up that transmission and just make it a little darker. Right, so now you can see that this is really dark. So the darker the transmission, the more solid it's going to look. So just double check to make sure that it's a little bit in the lighter tones. This isn't going to be thin walled, right? The purpose is that it's not going to be thin. The purpose is that it's actually a solid, right? It's a liquid. So we want to make sure that thin walled is turned off. And then we're just going to play with the transmission until we get some nicer numbers. We're going to go ahead and play with the roughness because it is a liquid and the specularity should be driven by the plastic bottle. So I'm going to go ahead and zero these guys out to put the bottle back in. And there you go. We now have a liquid in a plastic bottle. That's exactly what I want. One of the key reasons why we freeze transformations is to make sure that if we move it, we can always zero it out. I'm going to add an extra edge just to make sure I have some supporting edges. Just want to make sure everything looks really good for the final render. There you go. It's starting to come together. You can see the before and after. All right, let's take another snapshot and you can see the progress that we've done so far. Again, we have some procedural shading and some repeating textures. Okay, now comes the fun part. We're going to save. Don't forget to save. Always important after any type of changes, go ahead and save iterations. We're going to go to UVs, UV editor, and this is the UVs, and we're going to go to image, UV snapshot. We're going to go to browse, and you can see where it places it. It places it in images. And if you don't end up in those images, what you want to make sure is that you set your project. So file, set project, select a product design. And then when you browse, if you still end up in the wrong place, you can go to the left and click on images. Let's go to snapshot. We're going to go ahead and type it in. This is going to be our product 1 snapshot. And then the scale is fine. 1024 is good. And I like to choose PNGs for the image format. Everything else look good, and apply and close. Next, we're going to jump into Photoshop. So let's go to File, Open. Or you guys can just find the UV snap and drag it in. There it is. Now we can't see anything, so let's create a new layer, drag it down, and then fill it with black. The shortcut is Shift Backspace. Make sure you lock your layers, because the last thing I want to do is mess up and, put my textures in the black or in the UVs. So let's go ahead and fill it and then choose a similar color to the one that we have in the bottle. I want to go for a little bit of a gray. Again, you can Shift Backspace to fill, and then grab the text tool. Pick a white fancy text. Verdana is one of them, but eventually you find your favorite fonts. There's so many fonts. You can download a bunch of fonts from, I think it's called Da Font, or Adobe has a bunch of fonts. I personally like to use Century. Go ahead and click on that. And then I'm going to call it product, and then drag it into place. Hopefully you guys know a little bit of Photoshop. If you don't, Control T is the shortcut to scale, and V is select. So it's always good to have shortcuts, because you can just do this really quickly. If you want to change the product, make sure you double click. And in this case, I decided to call it skincare, and make sure you spell everything correct. I'm going to choose bold for the title. And again, Control T, and then move it around. Next, I'm going to continue writing some information. This is just basically a template, so I'm just going to say this is sunblock. I'm just going to put random words in here, because I really don't know what, I'm just going to put random words here. So sunblock SPF 50. I'm going to say something like product information. I don't want to bold this, so I'm going to make sure I hit the left. I want it to be left, and then I'm not going to bold it, so I'm change it to regular, and then deselect it, and then do a Control T to place it and move it around. Then, because I feel like it's a little too simple, I'm going to put in more information about the product here. Fancy stuff like that. Again, it's a template, and then even more information about the product here. So this is a template. What that means is that I can show this to my client, and then I can add whatever information they want. Do they want me to put their logo? Do they want, instead of calling it skincare, do they want body products? Whatever they want, I can change it. It's all just information that can be easily changed, which is the whole point, is to make this as flexible as possible. And let's go ahead and add some sort of information about how much it is, 85 milliliters. Again, I'm just throwing a random number in. I'm not being too picky about this. My client can specifically say exactly what they're looking for. So this is my label so far, and I like the way it looks, but we always want to make sure that everything is aligned. And now I'm going to preview it. So make sure you hide your UVs, and let's go ahead and save it. I'm going to place it in images. And I'm going to rename, create a folder called textures. WIP, which stands for work in progress textures. And then just go ahead and call this product 1 diffuse, which is the color map. And the label. There it is. All right, let's jump back into Maya. We're going to use the UVs to select the faces. And then these are going to require a separate shader. So let's go to assign a new material. Arnold, again, I love my AI standard surface. I'm going to go ahead and go to File, Folder, and I'm going to go to Images because it's my working file, and then grab the PSD, and there it is. Now here's where I can make some changes, but let's see what it renders. There you go. Now the quality is a little low. I will increase the quality of the render later. Right now it's just mostly about placement, colors, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to go ahead and rotate it because I really want them to see the product name. I also want to make sure if I can grab the reflections a little bit better. Now don't forget that the render is pretty low res right now, so eventually I'll increase it later. Usually product design are for print, so we want to make sure that when we render it's going to be really high quality. So I'm not too convinced about the color, so I'm going to double click on it, on the layer, the label, go to color overlay. And obviously I'm not going to go for fluorescent green, but you can see that you can quickly change the color to whatever color the client wants. And then I'm going to choose for a more lighter gray. Click OK, OK. And then let's go ahead and save. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger, just so I can see the product a little bit better, the name. And you can see there's 2 tabs. Make sure you're in the right tab and don't forget to label, because again, we're going to have a lot of labels. So this is going to be product 1, label shader. Reload and you can see the look. And there it is. You can zoom in and see that it's a little close to the edge here. So it depends if that's the look you want or you want a little bit more space. You can always go to the UVs and tweak it. If you turn off the grid, you'll be able to see it. And then you can go in and either scale it a little bit to make it fit better, or you can go back to the texture. So there's a variety of ways we can still manipulate this, not only Maya, but also in Photoshop. There it is. It's looking good. All right, let's move on to the next one. So again, we have a UV editor. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to go to Image, UV Snap. You can see that it's going to be located in the snapshot folders, which is great. I'm going to call this Product 2. And then let's go into Photoshop. Let's grab the snapshots. I'm going to drag the file into Photoshop, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to create a background, bring it down, make it black, lock them so I don't make any mistakes. And then what I'm going to do is pull this out of Photoshop and grab the text as well as the color box. And this is a great way, you can see I'm just dragging it in there. And this is a great way to keep things the same, right? So I now have the exact same color, the same fonts, the same font sizes, the same font text, everything. So everything's the same. So I went ahead and make this a little larger, Control T, bring the text layer above, and then go ahead and place it. Now I'm going to change a couple of things. So instead of 85 milliliters, maybe I'm going to say 200. Again, turn off the layer and then go ahead and save it. I'm going to place this in my work in progress. I'm going to call this my Product 2. And that's my naming convention. A lot of companies have their own naming conventions, so just be aware that that's, just be aware that it can change depending on where you're working. Let's go ahead, create a new shader, Arnold, AI Standard Surface Shader. And again, label everything. So Product 2, label, shader. Let's go to color. Let's go to the folder. And this time we're going to grab number 2. And there it is. Let's go ahead and take a render. And just like that, we now have the label. Looks good. Let me go ahead and take a snapshot. And now we can see the difference of how things are quickly changing. Now let's make sure you're in object mode. And if you're not too convinced with the plastic shader, which is the procedural, I'm going to go ahead and change it on the fly. And what's nice is like when I change it, the other one should change as well. So all of them get a little darker. All right, it's coming together. All right, one more. Let's go ahead and go to Image, UV Snap. We're going to call this Product 3, Export. Back into Photoshop, we're going to do the same thing. Let's grab that UV Snap and open it. Create a new layer. I accidentally grabbed the UV Snap, as you can see, and I filled it. So that was an accident, but I am going to drag everything in now. And instead of trying to fix it, what I'm going to do is drag in the UV Snap again and bring it in and fix it. So instead of recreating the whole thing again, just bring in the UV Snap layer and then we can just go ahead and fill it in. So here's the label. Here's my skincare products, and you can see that it's getting a little tight there, but that's okay. We're just gonna work with what we have. I'm gonna move it down a little bit and then tweak some of the text. So for example, instead of a 200 milliliter bottle, I'm gonna change this to 250, and then I'm gonna scale it a little bit. Make sure everything fits. There it is. Let's hide the UV snap. Let's go ahead and save. Let's go to the work in progress textures and change this to label. There we are. And just like before, go to faces, select the faces, and then we can assign a new material. So assign new material, Arnold AI Standard Surface Shader. And let's go ahead and plug it in and see what it looks like. So this is the nice thing about placing everything, all the labels in the same place. It's really easy to find it. So if I take this product and I share it with you, for example, you'll be able to just change it and you know where everything is. My work in progress is in images. My renders are going to be in images. My final textures will be in source images, for example, things like that. So that's how you can create labels and procedural shader, and all of it's very flexible. You can open it up in Photoshop and make the alterations. You can go into procedural shading. Let's say if they want to change the bottle to a different color, then you can make it into a different color. There's just a lot you can do with these type of processes. So again, it's all about creating a template that can be easily manipulated. So hopefully you learned a thing or two. If you did, please like and subscribe. That is your message to me, letting me know that you like this content and that you want to see more. Please share my videos. If there is a 3D artist out there that's interested in creating product designs, then please share my videos. That would be amazing. That would really help me out. And also take a look at academicphoenixplus.com. There you will find free resources as well as ebooks and so much more. There's also e-courses, and of course you can download this product design so you can follow along. Leave a comment. What do you think of this content? Do you like it? Do you like to see more product design? What else would you like to see? Again, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Keep creating, and in the next video tutorial, we're going to start lighting this to make it beautiful and high quality so that it's ready for print. I will see you next time.